Today, a new and exciting show that covers the world of athletics, from track and field to road running, cross country, trail running and mountain running. In this episode, the New Balance Night Cross Country Race. Sean Falconer, editor, journo and race announcer. Race rule 166, how lane draws are determined. But first though, some of the news that made headlines recently. Was the race to end all races. Kenyan Dennis Kimeto smashed the marathon world record in Berlin on Sunday the 28th of September, winning the race in a time of 2 hours, 2 minutes and 57 seconds, the first athlete to go under 2 hours and 3 minutes, raising that question again as to how close will we get to sub 2 hour marathon. The 30-year-old pre-race favourite broke away in a 7-man group, including fellow Kenyans Emmanuel Mutai and Jeffrey Kamoro, after 20 kilometres on the sun-drenched cool Berlin. Shukov Mutai was 4 kilometres remaining to become the first man to complete the race, less than 2 hours and 3 minutes, to set the second consecutive world record in Berlin, considered the world's fastest marathon course. Of course, last year it was Wilson Kipsang who set the world record here. Kipsang now has his eyes set on New York, where if he wins, he will be crowned World Majors Marathon winner. Also in the race, South Africa's Renee Kalmer was looking for a personal best. She had clocked 2 hours, 29 minutes and 59 seconds 3 years ago and was on target to 35 kilometers for a sub 2 hour 28 minute run. In the end though, she took 32 seconds off her personal best. She now speaks athletics today all the way from Berlin.
Dit is 'n ongelooflike reis. Ek het verskriklik geniet en ek wil definitief weer terugkom. En ek dink ek het baie goed gevoel en alles. Dit is net die laaste 6 k's het ek myself bietjie in no man's land bevind en swaar gekry. En die laaste 2 k's het ek op wou beginnaar word het, maar ek kon vasbyt en nog steeds 'n PB hardloop. 'n PB se PB, so ek is osmaals.
Wel, het 3 jaar vanaf dat jy 29 geword het. Long time coming, of was dan net beserings tussen?
Ek weet net, ek net alles het regtig goed uitgewerk vandag. En ja, ek is regtig opgewonde. Hele doel met hierdie reis was, dit is die eerste stepping stone na Rio 2016. En ja, ek is regtig baie opgewonde daaroor.
Toe ek met jou gepraat het na Gauteng Half Marathon, het jy gesê jy het jou training het bietjie verander, so minder op die 10 kilos, meer op die marathon gefokus. Blykbaar het gewerk.
Ek het so 3 maande terug van afrigters verander. En so het eintlik baie min tyd gehad om regtig goed voor te berei vir die wedloop. So ek is baie opgewonde wat ek en die reg gekry. En ons het baie hier uitgevat en ek dink dit kan net beter gaan van hier af. Dit was net 'n ongelooflike wedloop geweest en die support langs die pad was amazing geweest. En ja, dit is regtig 'n groot voorreg om hier so in Berlyn te kom hardloop. Dit was nog altyd 'n droom van my en dit het vandag waar geword. En ek dink dit is amazing om in die wedloop te hardloop wat hulle die wêreldrekord gebreek het. Ongelukkig was die laaste 10k wat ek redelik op my eie gehardloop. Ek het 'n paar mans gevang, maar niemand wou saam met my gaan nie, maar help die laaste 10 km nie. Maar ja, ek is bly om vasbyt en nog steeds sub 2:30 hardloop. En hierdie keer het ek het behoorlik gebreek. Dit was nie weer 2:29:59 nie, so ek kan nou claim dat ek 'n regte 2:29 marathoner is. So ek regtig opgewonde om bietjie dinge te verander in my oefening en definitief bietjie altitude training te gaan probeer. Miskien in Ethiopië of Kenia te gaan. Dit is regtig die volgende fokus om te kyk om my te kry om daai sub of om my sub 2:27 op vinniger te hardloop. Ek het definitief die volgende mikpunt is om onder 2:20 uit te gaan. En ja, ek was vandag baie naby geweest. Dit is jammer die laaste 7 kilos het my bietjie gevang. Maar ja, ek is regtig opgewonde. Ek het die hele pad goed gevoel, positief gevoel en dit is regtig baie lekker die wedloop. Ek dink was om te gaan vir daai 2:20 uit. Ja, maar my goal was 2:20 uit tot 2:30. So ek is regtig baie bly en dit was lekker. Daar was die Duitse meisie gewees, het nog 'n hele klomp pacemakers gehad en mans wat saam met haar gehardloop. So ek het die eerste ruk saam met hulle gehardloop, maar toe besef ek hulle gaan nie daai bietjie te vinnig vir my. So ek het dit die hele tyd in my plesier gehou en van die mans wat daar van die pak afgeval het ek gejaag. Dit is die al vir die jaar, 'n PB, met hardloop het nie gereeld nie, so ek is baie bly en gaan dit nou celebrate. En dit is die doel vir die jaar, so ek is regtig baie in my loppies.
Kenyan Willie Kibor took clear of a quality field in latter stage of the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon. Kenyan-born Qatari athlete Nicholas Kemboi had done most of the hard work, pushing the pace up front in the first half to lead them through halfway in 63.50. It was Kibor, though, who broke away in the end to win comfortably in 2 hours, 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Kemboi dropped back to finish 6th. Now the Kenyan Henry Churchill was the best of the rest, crossing the line in 2:12.39, with Josephat Kamzi, Kibor's training partner, 3rd in 2:13.05. Ethiopia's Meseret Biru won the ladies' race in 2 hours and 31 minutes. South African athletes struggled with Desmond Mkhobo, first local athlete home in 6th position in 2 hours 16 minutes and 17 seconds, with Zintle Zaniwe finishing 7th in the ladies' race in 2 hours 41 minutes and 52 seconds. 2014 has really been a pretty good year for South African track and field, with no less than 5 national records broken and a whole host of medals picked up at the Commonwealth Games and the African Championships. Getting the ball rolling was Simon Mahakwe, who broke the 100-meter national record of 10.06 seconds he jointly held with Johan Rousseau. Mahakwe dipped under 10 seconds at the South African National Championships in April this year to clock 9.98 seconds. Sadly, he has not been able to reproduce those times since. Next to set a record is the exciting Wade van Niekerk, who is only in his second year of the quarter mile. Van Niekerk clocked 44.38 seconds at the Diamond League meeting in New York in June. Akani Simbini, Henrico Branchi, Simon Mahakwe and Tsitsipas Titi finished 4th at the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, but despite missing out on a medal, they did manage to break the South African record in the men's 4x100 meter relay. The quartet clocked 38.35 seconds. He's been knocking on this door for a while, and finally Johan Cronje broke the South African record in the men's mile. Injury-free for the first time in a long time, Cronje lined up in the mile at the Diamond League in Oregon, where he was timed at 3 minutes 50.70 seconds. Last but not least, Khotso Crocodile Mokoena added his name to the records list after breaking his own triple jump record at the African Championships in Marrakesh on 14th of September, where he also won the silver medal. His leap of 17.35 meters eclipsed his own record by 10 centimeters, which was set way back in 2005. That result, his gold at the same event at the Commonwealth Games, as well as his diamond for the long jump as the overall winner in the Diamond League competition, make him a strong candidate for Athlete of the Year in South Africa. A number of big events took place in South Africa in the last 2 weeks, namely the Gauteng Marathon and the South African Cross Country Championships. No surprises that the Gauteng Marathon on the 7th of September was dominated by foreign athletes, as a purse of 250,000 rand for first is good money in any man's language. After a perfectly timed kick, Ethiopian Ketema Negasa was able to move away from compatriot Fayera Gemeda to claim the race in 2 hours 15 minutes and 5 seconds. Gemeda was second some 5 seconds later, with Sintai Yesu rounding out the top 3. In the ladies' race, Kenya's Franz Jeb Kosai took full advantage of defending champion Mapaseka Makanya's sprained ankle to break the course record set by the South African in 2013 in her debut, the Kenyan clocking 2 hours 26 minutes and 34 seconds. Makanya held on for second, limping across the line but also dipping under the previous record. Off the road, it was the eagerly awaited matchup between arch-rivals Stephen Lesego Mokoka and Elroy Galant at the South African Cross Country Championships held in George on Saturday the 13th of September. The course was tough with a number of short sharp hills, which should have favoured defending champion Galant. But Mokoka would have none of that and sped away at the end of the first of 4 laps, never to be headed. Galant limped home in second after his shoes chafed him till he bled. No surprise in the ladies' race, with no major competition in the field, it was always going to be either Lebogang Palula or Lebo Palula who would win the title. This time round, it was Lebogang who claimed her first national title. Jenna Chanalo added her name to the ever-increasing list of women who are beginning to look at the marathon as their event. The mother of two who works full-time capped a successful 2014 with a win in her debut marathon, the Petro SA Marathon, with a time of 2 hours 41 minutes and 18 seconds. Earlier this year she had also represented South Africa at the World Half Marathon Championships, winning a personal best of 74 minutes and 20 seconds. Sunday the 2nd of November sees the final of the Marathon Major Series, and that is the New York Marathon. Usapo April returns to the Big Apple after finishing third there in 2013.
No, it's a race that I've been dying to run. Now that I've got an opportunity, so I'm just gonna make use of it. The vibe, you know, the spectators along the road, you know, and you know, like last year I finished third there. It felt like I've won the race. You know, I've won in Germany, but you know, finishing third in New York, it was better than winning in Germany.
And New York is obviously a tough race. It's that kind of race that you seem to enjoy.
Yeah, I love tough, challenging conditions, and it's New York. It's the race that I've been, you know, dreaming of running. So now that I've got an opportunity to go and do it, so I'm just over the moon.
No pacemakers in New York, so how does that affect your strategy?
I love going to races where there are no pacemakers because you know, we're working on a project. I would call it like 2016 Rio, if I'm selected for the team. So you know, it's gonna help me because I'll be familiar running against those guys, you know, in New York or Boston. So like the good part about the Olympics, it's only 3 guys from each country. It's not like a massive.
And we wish Usapo April the best of luck in New York, the 2nd of November. Sean Falconer, often seen running around in a pink tutu and shouting down a microphone. Occasionally also seen running long trails or even on the road. So who is this intrepid young man who has become one of the voices of road running in South Africa?
Hi, my name is Sean Falconer. I'm the editor of Modern Athlete magazine, SA's biggest monthly running publication. Before Modern Athlete, I was at Runner's World magazine for about 9 years. So I've got about 15 years of experience as a journalist covering running, athletics, trail running and all the sports in the country. I studied a journalism degree at Stellenbosch University. That's where I cut my teeth, and I think I'm one of the most fortunate people in the world. I'm a runner, I'm a journalist, and I work in a running magazine. I wouldn't call it pedigree. I'm very much a back of the packer, but I've been running since I was 19, so that's about half my life now. And I've done several hundred road races, mostly up to the half marathon distance. A couple of marathons here and there, but I've stuck to the shorter distances because I'm also a soccer player, so you know, I try and get a bit of balance in life as well. So I've been with Helderberg Harriers for my entire running career. It's a club that was one of the biggest in the Western Cape in the 70s and 80s because that's where running developed. The club is much smaller these years, but I'm still very proud of my red and white vertical striped colours. You can see us from a mile away, which is nice because you can see your club mates and catch up with them in races or spot them. And we've got some really nice races on the calendar with the Winelands Marathon and the Spoorkill. It's nice to be involved there. So I got into commentating by accident. It was a nice extension of my work as a journalist, but I started doing it because the Spoorkill race that my club puts on had no commentator available that particular weekend back in 2010. All the commentators were out of town or just not available. I volunteered to do the job, and from there I got a second event, the Cape Town Marathon, which then led to another event, the Total Sports Challenge, and from doing 2 events that first year I now do over 50 a year. So it's really paid off. It's great networking for me. I've picked up stories, I've met people, it's helped me to promote my brand with the magazine, so it's a win-win for everybody, and I have lots of fun on the microphone. One of the things that we aim for with Modern Athlete is inspiration. There are other publications out there that do the how-to, which is very much oriented towards beginners. We prefer looking for the inspirational stories that are all about getting people out there repetitively. The ones, bring them back week after week after week to races and to get them out the front door running. A lot of those people don't want how to run your first half marathon, how to lose a few kilograms. They just want to be inspired to carry on running. So we've got a bit of how-to information, but the vast majority of our content is just good stories about the people, the places, the races, And it's the living legends of yesteryear, it's the up-and-coming elites of today, it's the average Joes with their good news stories and their interesting things. We've got my experience pieces where we have pieces written by people who read the magazine. So it's really, the focus is inspiration. From day one, because we're a free magazine, distributing mostly through running clubs as well as events and in certain retail stores, that free distribution meant that from day one, we were the biggest running publication in the country, with 30,000 magazines going out each month. And our digital mag has now climbed to 11,000 people subscribing each month, and we just see the brand going upwards all the time. The feedback we get from people every single time we speak to them, they tell us, love your magazine, read it cover to cover, can't wait for the next edition, please keep up the good work. So we think we've hit the right nerve with the running public in this country. It all started because we got Renee Kalmer, who is South Africa's not only our top female runner at the moment, but what many people consider the best female athlete this country's ever produced. And she was looking for a new club at the beginning of this year. We happened to be looking for somebody to be a brand ambassador, so we spoke to her. Next thing we knew, we had Renee Kalmer running in the Modern Athlete colours. Her kit is now branded Modern Athlete. That's her club name, and we are starting a club in the Gauteng area, which we hope to then take into other provinces as well. My claim to fame is I coach the women's soccer team at the University of Stellenbosch. Very proud of my girls. Over the years we've won about 4 or 5 provincial titles, and we play in the highest league, the Sasol division, so as I say, very proud of my girls. First soccer game I ever saw was the 1985 FA Cup final when United beat Everton in extra time after having a man sent off, so I just fell in love with the team. Liverpool fans, close but no cigar last season. I mean, if it wasn't for that slip, oh wait, you wouldn't have won it anyway.
On the 12th of April 1988, Thomson Mogowane, on his way to setting an absolutely fantastic Two Oceans record which still stands, also set the world record for 50 kilometers of 2 hours 43 and 38. In the following year we had Frits van der Merwe, went in 3 hours 8 minutes and 39 seconds for the 50 kilometer distance, also on the way to winning the Two Oceans Marathon. And that record has stood since the 25th of March 1989.
TUT, the Tshwane University of Technology in the north of Pretoria, played host to the 4th New Balance Night Cross Country race.
I love running.
Almost 1,000 runners from all ages and all levels made the trip to TUT to run under the lights. A novel idea for cross-country racing, and one that seems to be gaining more and more momentum every year. It is an opportunity for young athletes and social runners to rub shoulders with the country's elite.
This is the 4th year of the event. We wanted to bring something different to cross country. Here at New Balance we think differently sometimes. We want to make excellence happen. We don't want to do the same as everybody else. And just as in T20 cricket, it sparked a new revelation in cricket. A lot of people enjoy it. So under the lights, half distances for world champs for the senior ladies and for the senior men. And it's quick, it's exciting, it's over. The other thing is that it's a good crossover from athletics to cross country, where the men can run 6Ks instead of the 12Ks, and they can still go and run track, and subsequently why we got some of the top athletes here tonight.
The elite men will race over 6 kilometers, half the standard distance usually run, and will race over a 2-kilometer course, meaning they will come around 3 times and allowing the spectators to watch the race unfold. In true international fashion, the elites are introduced to the crowd.
Turning man, besides Matthews Damani and Johan Verrieden could ever run a sub 4-minute mile at altitude last year in Potts, 3:58. Big round of applause to Docs Malloy.
And in true cross-country fashion, the start is frenetic. After around 150 meters, the course narrows down, and every athlete wants to be in the front to have a clear run. As expected, Elroy Gelant takes the early lead, but on his shoulder, one of his two main rivals, the three-time winner here, Gladwin Mzazi. The inevitable has happened. Elroy Gelant, who's a master of a 5 and 10,000 meter and seems just so smooth, has broken away and is free to chase home. Mzazi, he's still in second but is being run down here and needs to be careful that he's not passed on the line. Gelant is now literally in the home stretch and passes the 18-year-old Oom Grobbies, a regular on the circuit. I guess it's a kind of changing of the guard. And Elroy Gelant will come home to win the 4th New Balance night cross-country race. Tombisa Baloyi has passed Gladwin Mzazi in the final stage of the race to take second. Mzazi, the 3-time champion, finally dethroned. That is your podium. Elroy Gelant, Tombisa Baloyi en Gladwin Mzazi.
Ek dink ek sal nou nog bly in 5000. Ja, ek sukkel nog so 'n bietjie in 5000, maar dit kom nou met die jare. Ek dink 5000 is soos mense in Engels kan sê, 'n tabberkoekie. En ek begin hom nou eers onder die hand bietjies te kry, verstaan. En ek sal nie ophou totdat ek 'n regtig goeie 5000 meter gehad het. So ek dink na die Olimpiese spele 2016 dink ek sal ek probeer opskuif na marathon toe.
Tonight's race was very special. What is so important about this event?
Ek dink dit is belangrik want jy bring almal hier byeen, van klein tot groot, verstaan. As op 'n Vrydag aand, ek dink dit is goed om al die kinders te bring, verstaan. Hele familie is hier so. So dit is belangrik om net om te kon geniet en ons kan miskien deelneem net om die kleintjies aan te spoor om te hardloop om die landloop ook bietjie op hoogte te bring.
How does night racing and day racing compare?
Ja, dit voel 'n bietjie vinniger. Jou bene voel 'n bietjie vinniger in die aand as in die dag. En ek dink die atmosfeer is ook baie beter. Hier's bietjie meer mense as wat in die dag is, 'n bietjie koeler. En ek dink dit help ook aan om goed te hardloop, ja.
Now it is time for the women's race. 2 laps of 2 kilometers to give them 4 kilometers of racing, and for the first time, Palula twins are both in attendance. Lebo Palula in particular is having a superb 2014. Not even the chilly evening weather can keep the spectators away, this format encouraging people to stay and watch. And once again it is a mad dash from the start to get into the best possible position before the chute narrows down. But soon order is restored and no surprises as Lebo Palula, who these days lines up as a favourite in any race she enters, has taken control. Behind her, twin sister and recent mother, Lebogang Palula, running shoulder to shoulder with Mariette Volmater. Lebo Palula in total control as she races off the bottom of the field. What is so unique about this event is that one can follow virtually the entire race from any given point of the course. Lebogang Palula has now broken away from Volmater and looks to have second place sewn up. But no one is going to catch Lebo Palula as she comes to the gate separating the two fields for the final time. Lebogang Palula also passing through the gate for the last time. No surprises, Lebo Palula our winner. The women's podium then, Lebo Palula on the top, twin sister Lebogang in second, and Mariette Volmater in third.
It's motivating us, we're keeping in shape all the time when we're participating. I would like to thank New Balance for organizing the race. It was so beautiful and nice. Eventually we don't receive these races anymore, but we would like to thank New Balance for hosting this event again. Hopefully we'll think next year as well will be the same thing. Thanks very much.
No surprises then that organizer Alan Smith is one very happy man.
It was an amazing event, making heroes under the lights. I think we made heroes of some of our superstars today, and we gave the opportunity for the kids to have a real good look at some of our superstars today. Elroy Gelant, Gladwin Mzazi, Jerry Matsell, some of the best athletes out there in the country, and we don't make heroes of them enough. We don't give them the opportunity to run in front of crowds like this enough, and I think we made excellence happen tonight.
There is often confusion as to how lanes are selected. when it comes to semi-finals and finals in major competitions? Well, to clear up Rule 166, here is how it works.
And what normally would happen is you'd have 3 rounds of competition. So let's take the 100 meters for example. You've got 3 rounds of competition. You have your heats in the first round, you have a second round which is known as the semi-finals normally, then a final. In your initial round, there is no seeding for lanes at all. What they do is they try to split the athletes according to ability, so you have the top athletes in different heats. But in terms of the lane draws, any athlete can draw any lane, so it's a random draw. As far as possible, you should try and avoid athletes from the same team in the same heat, but if it's in order to keep the athletes apart from other teams, it may well happen. From there, you now have a situation who makes it through to the semi-final. Now, they've changed the rules a few years ago to make sure that there's only 3 rounds, so you'll normally have 3 semi-finals, but like the old days when there were only 2. With 3 semi-finals, you obviously have 24 athletes. So what will happen is you'll have a number of winners and a number of second place athletes. Depends entirely on the number of heats as to who makes it through. But it's important to always remember that the rules go according to position and then time. So it's always, you're looking at your athletes that are in the winning positions, and then second positions, and then third positions, and then times after that. Now let's take a situation you go from the semi-final to the final. You've got 3 semi-finals, it goes through to 1 final or 8 lanes. You're now going to have 3 winners. Those 3 winners go through automatically into the seeded lanes, which I'll explain shortly. The seeded lanes, obviously you've got 3, there's 4 seeded lanes, you've got 3 winners. What then happens is your fastest second place athlete joins the 3 winners in a draw for the seeded lanes. And the seeded lanes are the 4 inside lanes, which is lanes 3, 4, 5 and 6. It's a random draw for those lanes, so it's not a situation where the fastest gets lane 4 or whatever. It's purely a random draw between the winners of the 3 semi-finals plus the fastest second place. Draw for those lanes. The 2 remaining second place athletes will then get a draw for lanes 7 and 8. It's always for lanes 7 and 8, but it is again a random draw between those 2 athletes. The remaining athletes are the ones that are qualified by time. Normally you have 3 semi-finals, you have the first 2 places and then the next 2 fastest times that go through. The time-based athletes, the 2 that qualified by time, normally denoted by a small Q, they will go for a draw into lanes 1 and 2. What this means is that athletes sometimes think that they've been given a bad draw, or it's unfair, or they were the fastest time so they should get something. It goes purely on position. For first places, go through into the seeded. The fastest second place athlete joins them in those seeded lanes. Therefore, when an athlete who's coming second, who jogs across the line and relaxes, can quite often end up in lane 8, whereas if they just run through hard, they could have been the fastest second place athlete and they would have joined the athletes in the seeded lanes. It's a big mistake to jog across the line. But it's not magic or anything like that. They don't draw the lanes purely on times, it's purely on position, except for the 2 athletes in the inside 2 lanes, who are the ones that qualified as the fastest losers.